Extremist movie debate. And tonight we're talking 2017's I Don't Feel at Home in This World Anymore.
I'm Joe.
I'm Ethan, and one of us is going to love it, one of us is going to hate it.
Let the coin decide their fate.
I hate it.
I love it. Hey, don't send Elijah Wood after us. There's spoilers ahead.
Perfect. And this film has an
If it did.
This film has an 89% on Rotten Tomatoes, which makes it certified fresh. Ethan, since you hate this movie, this first question is for you. This comes from David Sims from The Atlantic. David says, Blair's film is like Blood Simple crossed over with The Three Stooges, a clever, gritty tale of revenge at its most inept, anchored by performances that brim with goofy fury. So my question for you is, tonally, do you think the movie stays balanced at all? You have 1 minute.
Ooh, absolutely not. But I will agree with our journalist on one thing: inept. That one word, accurate. The characters are inept. The storytelling is inept. If you want to talk about tone of this movie, it starts out almost just as a dry indie comedy, and then you're laughing every once in a while because you think the situations are a little bit funny, but then in the end, all of a sudden for 15 minutes it's just brutal gore, and it's like, oh, I'm watching Green Room again, which makes sense because a lot of the people that did Green Room did this movie, which you would forget while you're watching this movie for an hour and 20 minutes until the very end of it. And that really takes you out of it because, you have a fairly lighthearted movie otherwise where somebody is just trying to make the world full of less assholes, and that's noble. But instead of having that end on a high note, as it should, because that's life and life should end that way, instead it ends with just brutal violence and depressing scenarios. And I think that does a disservice to the movie, it does a disservice to the audience, and it leaves me feeling a little bit cold and dead inside when I was otherwise, taking some giggles out of this.
Okay, thank you, Ethan. Joe, you have 30 seconds to respond.
The tone from the beginning of this movie is dark, and as far as her trying to make the world less full of assholes, the way she does that is by becoming an asshole herself. And you see these darker moments where an old man breaks her finger, and then the old man gets punched out by Elijah Wood. So you have these
That's not her?
What?
That's not her doing that.
Ethan, please don't interrupt.
I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. I said an old man broke her finger, and then Elijah Wood punched an old man out. I don't know what's inaccurate about that.
I apologize for interrupting.
Jesus.
I'll talk about. Keep going.
Joe, I'll give you an extra 10. I'll give you an extra 10 seconds.
I'll just
Please
let
stop
Ethan
talking.
go since he's so worried about talking.
Well, you said it was about the woman being an asshole.
All right, relax, guys, relax.
Go ahead, Ethan.
Relax. Ethan, you have 15 seconds to respond.
Thanks, Jeff. So you said it was about the woman being an asshole. However, in that situation, Elijah Wood is the asshole. The woman is trying to steal her grandmother's silverware back from this old man who bought it from a sketchy guy, and instead she gets pulled away and accidentally swings around and hits him in the head. And then he's like, "Oh, you broke my tooth."
Thank
or something.
you, Ethan. Joe, you have 15 seconds to respond.
So her being an asshole, I wasn't actually referencing. I was referencing the dark tone of the movie with that specific scene. And her being an asshole is like cutting in front of lines with people and like throwing shit at people and just asserting herself and becoming more aware of her surroundings.
Okay, thank you, Joe. And guys, once again, let's keep this civil. Joe, this next question is for you. This comes from A.A. Dowd of the AV Club. Double A says, I Don't Feel at Home begins to resemble nothing so much as a Coen Brothers imitation, but with thinner characters. So how do you feel about the character development, and does this in any way feel close to a Coen Brothers film? You have 1 minute.
Tonally, I do think it feels like a Coen Brothers movie. About halfway through, I was like, this is kind of like a Coen Brothers comedy with like the beats of really dark humor where certain people, like my parents, are not going to think this movie's funny. My dad will just be scratching his head the entire time, but I was like laughing gutturally the entire time. As far as the thin characters, like, they're not as well defined as Coen Brothers, but not many people can make movies or write movies such as the Coen Brothers do. So I think this movie, we get just enough. We get enough of what we need to make it the movie that it's going to be that we're watching. So the characters do their job in service of the story.
Okay, thank you, Ethan. You have 30 seconds to respond.
I mean, barely. The service of the story is just a woman trying to go get some forks back. In fact, the story involves this woman getting her forks back and then Elijah Wood throwing fireworks down a hallway, and that's the extent of his character. Like, we don't he's eccentric and she doesn't want assholes in the world anymore. Like, you can fit, like, that's the description of the characters, and you don't need to develop any more beyond that, and they don't develop any more beyond that, and the movie thinks that that's okay. It's not actually okay. If you want to invest the audience at all and justify the total contrast.
Okay, thank you, Ethan. Thank you. Joe, you have 15 seconds to respond.
So Ethan actually contradicted himself in that answer by saying all she wants to do is get some forks back, and then later he said all she wants to do is get rid of assholes in the world, which she is doing. And Elijah Wood, there's more to Elijah Wood than he is. He's a very religious, spiritual person who has a lot of like moral compass.
Ethan, you have a final 15 to respond.
Yeah, he's a religious, spiritual person who hits people in the face with maces and throws fireworks at them and punches an old man and then brags about it when he drops him down to the floor. Says you really got to get your leg behind you. That's where all the power comes from. It's pretty cool to diss religion like that.
Okay, thank you guys. We're going to open up the floor for debate. You guys have 4 minutes to discuss back and forth. And can I finish? And go.
Can you? That's what makes him a complex character, is because he has this deep religious, like, fundamentalism within himself, but he also doesn't want to take any shit. And we
don't know that. It's probably just another dumb thing he picked up to look cool. Like, all he is somebody who wants to look cool.
What's making him look cool?
It's him trying to look cool. I'm not saying he successfully looks cool in this movie.
Like him going to church.
He looks like an asshole. No, I'm talking about like him, like, oh, the web is just a whole bunch of webs connected together, and you just got to avoid the spiders, and then he just goes to Google.
What are you talking about?
I'm talking about Elijah Wood. What are you talking about?
You were like, I was starting.
Elijah Wood.
I was talking about his Christianity, and then you go off about the World Wide Web.
Christianity is just a farce. It's not something.
Why do you think it's a farce?
Because everything else about this character is.
Everybody knows JC don't make you cool, Ethan.
Well, that's not.
That's
true.
why people are true to their faith, even though it makes them look uncool. Okay, and that's the thing.
I think our Lord and Savior is very.
Elijah Wood is not just.
Our Lord and Savior died for your sins.
See, I think
died
Elijah
on the cross, was crucified.
You said Elijah Wood. You said he's an
you on
character.
The cross.
So he's an eclectic.
Will you say you're sorry?
He's an eclectic character who has anger issues. We know he has anger issues from the very first time we meet him, and he yells because she got burglarized. And then he decides to help her.
Yell, he runs away instead of talking to her.
Oh, when she throws the poop at him. When we actually talk to him the first time when she goes to his backyard.
Well, he gets upset that other people are doing that.
And he's hitting, so you can see he has anger issues.
No, we just see that he's weird.
So even though he is a religious person, you can see that he has anger issues, and you can see he's an eclectic person. I think this is your aggressive left coming out.
When you look
just
at like
throwing
John
out
Goodman
a
and the Big
blanket
Lebowski,
statement
and you want to talk about somebody.
You're throwing out a blanket statement like eclectic,
somebody
and you're going to offend people.
I said eccentric, but somebody who is very, very religious, but also super duper angry, it would be John Goodman and the Big Lebowski, and that works because it's very contrasting. In this movie, it's just glazed over like a shitty Krispy Kreme donut.
All right, guys. On that note, what do you really feel about the movie?
A lot of fun.
It's a great movie.
A lot of fun.
These guys are like, it's like, do they live in Oregon? I have no idea. Seems like they live in Oregon. And it's like their group of filmmakers in the same way that Ty West and Joe Swanson are like a group of filmmakers.
Who are they?
He made, Ty West made In the House of the Devil and In the Innkeepers and The Sacrament, and Joe Swanson did Drinking Buddies, and he does a bunch of mumblecore stuff like Happy Christmas.
Okay.
So like they're a group of filmmakers like in the Midwest making movies, and it seems like these guys, like Blair and then the guy who made Green Room, are like a group in Oregon, and these guys are better. like I like the Swanson Ty West group. I think they make good movies, but it seems like these guys have like such a masterful hold on what they're doing.
Yeah, it's great. It does definitely shift tone, but it works. It works so very well. Unless you're watching it and then your wife comes home, because it's on Netflix, so I'm just watching it in the comfort of my couch, and I'm just giggling the whole time. Then my wife comes home, and all of a sudden people get hit by a bus, get their limbs blown off, stabbed in the throat, get shivved in the stomach 10 times, and then...
I think it was just a knife.
Yeah, okay, it was just a knife. That's fair. So that's horrific, and then I start laughing because in the background the protagonist is throwing up, and with the context, it's hysterical. And then your wife gets mad at you and thinks that you're a horrible human being because she doesn't understand what's happening.
It's hilarious. Trust us, it's really funny.
The movie works. It provides enough context that it's great.
9 out of 10, a little bit of fun.
Even a horrifying chase scene to the death through the woods in the end, and I'm still laughing the whole time. It's great. Yeah, 9 out of 10, lots of thunder.
I watched Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the movie, instead of this.
Go ahead and like the video below. You can subscribe to our channel. If you'd like us to do a movie in the future, go ahead and request the movie, and also request a question you'd like us to debate over that movie. Unpaid or Jeff will ask it in the episode, and we'll debate it.
I got Dwayne The Rock Johnson's Hercules today.
I'm so excited to do that.
Thank you, and good night.
Comment.
Bye-bye.